Hey everyone. This is like my 100th time doing this because every single time I'm way over time. So I'm going to do my best to keep it down to 5 minutes. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alexis. I like to think of myself as a social justice and equity advocate. I'm a literature lover and I do have a little fur baby. So my portfolio here, it's not completely finished. It's finished for the assignment, but not where I would like it to be later on. So on my homepage here, I did some cool stuff. I attached my teaching philosophy down here, as well as a little quote from it and a link to some TED Talks that inspired my teaching philosophy. I have an about me here, so for those of you who don't know, I'm in the intermediate and senior stream, and English and philosophy are my teachables, and urban education is my specialty area. The stuff that I haven't finished yet, this is for the future, so my portfolio here, its intended audience are students, caregivers, and colleagues. So I just wanted to make a little teaching resources section where you could click on it, and as you can see in English, I would list classroom novels, short stories, and poetry, drama, movies, and videos, and accompany curriculum tie-ins, synopsises, all that fun stuff in it. So as you can see, it will say under construction, and the same thing under the philosophy resources. It is under construction. However, I will get there eventually. Next, we have the multiliteracies portion. So it's just the answer to my questions from the first part and the second part. I also included some links to some multiliteracies resources that I used during my first practicum that I didn't necessarily have pictures of or screenshots to include. So if you are an English teacher, No Red Ink, fantastic for teaching grammar. And then Common Lit and Newsella are great for deconstructing news articles and talking about current events. So then we're just going to go to my Google Classroom here. My Google Classroom is most definitely set up for students. So there's a few different tools that I used in my last placement that I would consider multiliteracy tools. So one of them here is this little Jamboard. Students can take sticky notes and write whatever they want. So this one would have been writing equity and social justice, things that they were passionate about or that they've read, saw. So they could put the hate you give if they read that over the break and then stick it on there, and they can move it around, and it's just completely anonymous, interactive, easy for them to use. Under classwork, so another thing that I like to do is have a week at a glance and a weekly checklist for students, so it's linked in there. And then this is the first week of this unit. Now this is like a 3 to 4 week unit, so I didn't put everything in here, but some fun tools that I used were Google Forms for paragraph writing. So instead of having them write paragraphs and hand them in on paper, they would put their paragraph in the Google form, and then we could put it on the smartboard and analyze them as a class, anonymously, of course. This whole unit is about deconstructing how arguments are created in media with a focus on social justice and equity. So we looked at Taylor Swift's video for The Man. We deconstructed her argument there. They provided her evidence and reasoning, as well as provided their own evidence for why they thought Taylor Swift either successfully conveyed her argument or not. We looked at moves writers make, much like we did in some of our Sync Ed talks. This was a collaborative Google slide presentation, so each student had their own slide with their own word that they had to define. So you can click on that, you can see what they did. They really enjoyed doing that. And then we also deconstructed argument through spoken word poem. And then they have a very large final assignment here. This is why it's such a long unit that is split up into 7 steps over a multitude of weeks. And their final product that they had to do was they would choose a social justice topic and present a call to action using a multimedia medium. So they had to choose a topic, research and create a bibliography, write a script. They had to create a storyboard, and then they had to use Adobe Spark for their final product. And then you can also see the rubric down here as well. So the great thing about this unit, in a multiliteracies perspective, was they were not only taught how to engage and critically analyze multiliteracies, but also learning how to work within them and and really use them to express their creativity, which I talk about being important in the answers to some of my questions. So I think I went over my time again. When it comes to the final assignment here, there's, like I said, 3 weeks more of content that you don't get to see, so students were scaffolded and molding up until that point. But if you watched, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best in your future practices.